5 tips on how to become a better producer in 1 week. Let's go. Tip number 1. Watch remakes and beat breakdowns. So watching remakes and beat breakdowns is going to allow you to see the foundations and the techniques behind the type of music that you enjoy listening to. So you might pick up something small like figuring out what VSTs you might want to invest into so you can improve your sound selection. You might find a new tip on how to sequence your drums better to get that bounce. You might learn something new in mixing that you didn't know before. So overall it's going to help you find the formula behind good music. But just make sure there's no plagiarism. Just take the little bits of source that you can, implement it into your own style and make something unique. So some channels I recommend for this are I Am a Music Mogul. He's really good if you use Logic because he makes all his remakes using stock Logic plugins. There's Kyle WTF, there's Producer Grind for the beat breakdown, Genius 2, and finally Aiden Kenway. Tip number 2, and some of you ain't gonna like this, but it's learn music theory. And I know you technically don't need to know music theory in order to make good music, but music theory is going to teach you the foundations of what typically sounds good and what typically doesn't sound good. And I can't see that hurting your career in any way, shape or form. And I do think this is an area where producers tend to be lazy. And that's an opportunity for you to stand out from the crowd by knowing something that your competition don't. And it doesn't need to be complex. There's a really good video by Andrew Hung, which is 30 minutes long, which kind of explains all the core concepts that you'll need. And here are some concepts which I would encourage you to learn, which I think would help you in the long run. So number 1, I'll say learn your scales. So I say start off learning your major scales, and then when you've done that, research how to find the relative minor of each major scale. And then once you're done with that, you can learn the pentatonic scale to help with your improvisation if you want to play on your MIDI, if you've got a guitar and you want to play on that. Number 2, I'll say let's learn chord qualities, learn what a major chord sounds like, learn what a minor chord sounds like, learn what a diminished chord sounds like, learn what an augmented chord sounds like. So learning chord qualities is going to kind of help you when you're in the process of making music. Because let's say you started off a chord progression, it's going a particular way, and the next chord you want has a particular sound that you hear in your head. If you can relate that sound in your head to what a major chord sounds like, to what a minor chord sounds like, to what a diminished chord sounds like, you'll be able to just pluck out the relevant chord that you need in that moment. Next thing I'll say is learn common chord progressions. If you listen to music today, a lot of the same chord progressions just get recycled and used over and over again, which is good and bad. So if you should learn those chord progressions so you can have a grasp of them yourself, see what the industry guys are doing, and then see how you can flip it and make them unique for yourself. Lastly, I'll say learn the number system. Let me know down below if you want to see a video on these concepts. Tip number 3, practice. Now people often say quality over quantity, which I agree with. However, in this music game, I find that your quantity is going to help build your quality. So making 2 or 3 beats a week is not good enough. You got to be making 2 or 3 beats a day at a minimum. So let's say 3 beats a day. At the end of the week, you will have 21 beats. Let's say 11 of those beats are trash. But let's say the other 10 are hitting. Those 10 can go straight into your catalog. You can start shopping around the different artists and start building your name. So let's spread that out over a month now. 3 beats every day for 30 days. At the end of the month, you're going to have 90 beats. Even if 60 of those beats are trash, at the end of the month, you're left with 30 beats. You're starting to build your catalog each month. If you do that over 3 months, you now have 90 hard beats. Over 4 months, you have 120.
2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's 3, quick maths.
That's a beat store right there. And all the beats that are trash, you're gonna learn something from. And even sometimes a beat is trash, but the melody's decent. You can take the melody out, maybe give it out as a free loop kit and start building your name on the gram and gaining exposure. Because the truth is, and this might be controversial, most of us don't work hard enough.
Okay.
And I'm included in that. And oftentimes we make excuses for our own mediocrity.
I'm not trying to burn out. I'm not in the right mood. I need to be in the right vibe. I don't have the right VSTs.
Bro, no excuses. Let's make it happen. No one's gonna fight for your dream apart from you. So if you want it, make it happen. Practice, put the work in. Tip number 4. Sound selection. So this kind of links back into the earlier tip of watching remakes, but oftentimes the thing that's holding back our music is our sound selection. So tip number 1, are using too many sounds in your melodies. If you listen to a lot of the industry hits, maybe 3 to 5 sounds and a bit of ear candy is all they use. So if you have a melody and you're using like 7, 8 sounds, it still might be good, but ask yourself, do I need all these sounds? Is there anything here that's not really adding much to the overall loop? And I would also say slightly change the way that you listen to music. When I first started out, I don't even think I enjoyed music because I was just so fixated on analysing everything. So I'd be like, is that piano laid with a pad? Cool. Okay, cool, that guitar only comes in every 8 bars. Cool. He switched from acoustic bass to a synth bass. I'll just be listening to different things and seeing what I could implement into my own craft. And if you're really struggling with your melodies, use loops. Don't let anyone tell you you're not a real producer if you use loops. It's an asinine argument. All the industry producers are using it. So why not utilize a tool that your competition are using? You're just shooting yourself in the foot. And also, when I've used loops, I've also learned from other loop makers because I was like, oh, the way he put that together, that's hard. Or he'll have an effect in the loop and I'm thinking, oh, how did he do that? Then I'll be going through my plugins and I'm learning how to utilize my plugins better to recreate different effects. So yeah, if your melodies are lacking, use loops. You can always learn from who you're collaborating with. and it's the most time efficient way to build your catalogue. So on the other end, drum sound selection. In this day and age, there is no excuse to have bad drums. There's so many free kits on Reddit. There's Splice, which is affordable. I have an affordable drum kit. If you want it, link in the description, shameless plug. But bro, there's so many ways to get good drums nowadays. Like, there's no excuse. Now, some sounds can get a bit repetitive. Like, how many times we heard 808Z or the spins. However, they are kind of like staple sounds that work, so like don't get too bogged down on it. So you have your staple sound, and then just keep looking over new drum kits, seeing where you can get new sounds just to spice things up so it's not too repetitive. And the final tip number 5 is do not overmix your beat. So mixing in general is something hard to get right. I myself struggled with it for a long time. But the first thing I'll say is, when it comes to drum samples, do not do too much of them. A lot of drum samples have already been compressed, already been EQ'd, they've been processed already. So once you go through and do it all again, you're gonna start to remove the punch and bass from like your drum elements. So from like the sounds that I use in my drum kit, I barely EQ them, I barely do anything to them. I just level them. And my aim when I'm mixing is to get a decent mix, to get the sound of the beat across. Obviously later on when the artist hops on it, then the engineer's gonna mix everything together with the vocals. So yeah, then just level your drums to make sure that they're cohesive with your melody. Listen to a couple reference tracks if you want as well, if you're struggling. So let's go on YouTube, pull it up, see how their stuff is hitting, see how loud the clap is in comparison to the hi-hat, or stuff like that, just little elements like that. And you don't need to do too much on the master. I just put an adaptive limiter on my master, and that's it. So one way to compare your mixes to see if they're getting better is to upload them onto YouTube. You can private them and unlist them, or make a playlist of your beats. And in that playlist, put people who you know have a good mix. So you can put like Gibbo, let's say Woodpecker, Cash Money AP, any YouTube producer who you respect their work, put their stuff in with yours and see how yours measures up. What is missing? Is your beats quite quiet in comparison to them? Is their bass hitting more? Cool. And the search up techniques, use that to pinpoint weaknesses in your mixing game that you can help bring up later on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, trying to bring different styles of content to the channel. If you enjoyed it, let me know down below. Also, any other topics that you want me to cover, let me know down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. God bless.
Diligent, you've done it again.